Well, heading into the 2018 midterm elections, the big political question is whether Republicans will maintain control of Congress or if Democrats can actually manage to flip the House or Senate. Now, after the successful passage of tax reform along party lines, Republicans are signaling a change in tune, seeming eager to work across the aisle with Democrats. But will it last? Joining me now to discuss all of this, Noel Nikpour, Republican strategist and author of Branding America, and Atima Omar, a Democrat strategist and former president for Young Democrats of America. It's great to have both of you with us on this New Year's Eve. Noel, let me begin with you. What are your predictions for 2018?
Well, I think that we are going to see, for the first time, we're going to see some bipartisanship, and we're going to do that with infrastructure. Now, I think that infrastructure is something that both Republicans and Democrats want to play ball with, and you're going to also have a little bit of private support, too. A lot of transportation companies are going to want to get involved in this. So I think America is ready for it. You know, this has been a bizarre year on many levels.
Yeah, to say the least.
And I think if we can get some bipartisanship, which I really think we can, with infrastructure, it's going to set the stage because they're going to get used to working together, and that's my prediction for the coming up 2018 movement. Yep.
All right, Atima, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I love Noel's optimism about bipartisanship. I certainly think that the Democrats have tried that before, whether it was with the tax bill or even doing fixes to ACA. Both times the GOP shut them down on that in the Senate and the House. So if they actually want to move forward and have conversations on infrastructure, I think that that would be ideal for the country. Certainly we have a lot that needs to be fixed: roads, highways, trains, etc. But, going politically into 2018, this is not a great year to be a member of the House, and in some cases a member of the U.S. Senate.
Right.
We've had about 33 legislative seats flip from Republican to Democratic control. We almost got the House in Virginia. We had a map that was very hard as Democrats to get, and we picked up 15 seats in our election this year in 2017. Alabama, to say nothing of that.
Right.
So, positioning where we are, basically historically, it looks like we have a really great opportunity to get very close, if not actually pick up the House.
Noel, thinking back to what's brought us here to this point in 2017, what would you say was the worst moment of the year, politically speaking?
You know what? There's so many, but the one that I've zeroed in on because it just makes me sick is the Alabama Senate race. That to me was a travesty. I mean, the fact that it's a Republican stronghold, and we had the Bannon movement get involved and knock Luther Strange out, who was a good candidate, who was probably a shoo-in.
Yeah.
And so on many levels, the Roy Moore fandango was probably, I think, one of the worst political moments for the GOP.
Yeah, that's a very important. I was going to say, it's a good thing you clarified for the GOP. Democrats might have a slightly different perspective on that. Atima, what would you consider the worst political moment of the year?
Definitely Charlottesville.
Yeah.
And I say that not only as somebody who attended the University of Virginia in Charlottesville and spent some time after graduation working there and knowing so many of the people who still live there, and watching that explode on the national stage was just surreal from a personal perspective. But politically, there just used to be a political consensus after the civil rights movement, and so much blood was shed and so many lives were lost, that siding with the Klan or neo-Nazis or saying that there was anything good about people on that side was across both sides of the aisle agreed that was not a good thing morally at all.
Right.
And now we had a president who, after watching a neo-Nazi mow down a woman who was protesting him and his movement, actually said the president say that there are good people on both sides, and that was a very low moral point politically for us as a country.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you on that one. Let's try to look on a positive note if we can. What would you say, Noel, were the best or the single best political moment of 2017?
It was the Me Too movement. You know what? Because movements change culture. And this movement, put women in the forefront, and it says we're not going to tolerate it anymore in any industry. Politics, Hollywood, workplace. anything. And I think this single #MeToo movement is one of the biggest turnarounds, because it says that this is going to be changing, that it's not going to be tolerated, and this is a win for women and a win for everybody, and a win for men too as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can agree with you on that one, certainly. And Atima, quickly, what was your take? What was your takeaway in terms of the most optimistic moment of 2017 politically?
I would say just from the, I would agree first off with Noel that the Me Too movement and it having ramifications across all sectors, be it media, be it entertainment, and even starting to actually see some ramifications for politicians on both sides of the aisle in politics. But I would also say that just from the perspective of a Democrat, seeing so many people getting involved politically, the Women's March, a lot of Black Lives Matter activists, a lot of young people for the first time, after the 2016 election, like, this is my country, I want to be a part of it, stepping up to run for office who never have. And as a lot of those folks who ran in Virginia, being a Virginia Democrat myself and involved in politics there, and seeing the young women, the young men, the people of color, the first 2 Asian Americans, the first 2 Latinas, actually take our house in Virginia, and that not be something that was even possible before. So that, talks about a new generation stepping up to lead.
I want to ask both of you very quickly, final thoughts about the Mueller investigation and how significant it will be in 2018. Noel, do you think this will be a critical year for the Mueller investigation, or do you think work can get done despite it lingering over Washington?
I do think that that work can get done despite that that it's carrying on and continuing, only because we have some serious issues that need to have work done on it. I mean, we've got infrastructure, we've got health care. So I think even though these are going to be very serious and they're going to continue, we actually have some business that we need to do and take care of.
Atima, final thoughts on this before we wrap it up.
Yeah, lots of balls still left to play on this. Mueller definitely has shown that he is a consummate lawyer and investigator, and we've found things out after the fact.
Right.
So I think that there's still a lot more to play out, especially now with the Michael Flynn situation earlier this month.
Yeah, lots of questions remain unanswered. Noel Nikpour and Atima Omar, thank you both for joining us. Happy New Year to both of you.
Thanks.
And coming up in our next hour.